Hey, welcome back. All right. What are we? We're in session 8 out of 16. We're halfway through. It's pretty crazy, hey? A lot going on, a lot to do. Again, if you guys didn't realize, time management, this is an accelerated course. Just always want to put that out there. You will be spending about 16 to 18 hours a week on this because it's a full semester in 8 weeks instead of 16 weeks. So just kind of keep that in mind. Where's your time going? Oh, it's because it ends early. It's 3 credits. That's why. Enough of that jazz. Let's jump in. Let's start talking about some stuff. Mind you, everybody, please notice my sizes are not right because right now I'm just talking about some like things you can do on the projects. I'm not doing the full setup for these first 2 examples because you have done this 6 times. I'm expecting when you set up, you're reading the directions, going through it, reading it. Let's show it. Everybody's doing pretty good. There's a couple stumbles here and there. And I know everybody's like, why does it matter if you get to bleed? And it'll end up costing money in the future. So make sure you follow these directions like perfectly, and to make sure you're checking your PDFs all the way at the bottom, right? Check them before you send them. If you see a little errant line or a pink outline, I'm going to start like lowering the grade a lot. I've been saying this for like 4 weeks straight, like make sure you follow the directions and do everything. Like boom, like you just can't do it. It's right here. So make sure you're following all the directions. With that said, let's have some fun. All right, so I have a word here. And I go through I'm going to make it bigger so I can see it. But just a couple of things of note. And we're going to type, create outlines, object, ungroup. Now they're all, around. And I talked about last time that if you do something and you want, which is great, you're like, I want this letter this big and this letter here. And, maybe this letter is really small. But when you're done, how do you want those arranged? Use these align tools that are so great and be like, okay, I want them all down at the bottom. And then, I want them, how do you want them distributed? Where do you want things? Click on that one and get them, so is it purposeful that you want this lower or this higher, or this tighter, that I look for those things in your design and I think, is there a reason why? Yes, Ian. Ian is reconnecting. Lost him on hand. So, I do look for those things. Why are there, if everything's just a little bit off, is that truly what they wanted? Or could you have just grabbed everything and just super easily with one click aligned everything? Now you can do some other ones. If we get fancy, you guys know the pen tool. You should, what just happened there? My pen tool just jumped on me. So I got a pen tool and I'm going to make an arc. And this is in your book lesson. Some of the things, like I say, it's in the book. And I'm going to make sure there's no fill and no outline, just like, everything we do. And then I'm going to move this up. And I'm going to grab everything. So I have all my letters grabbed and my arch. And I'm going to go to this thing, and it's distribute on a path. So it's a curve with 2 shapes. And if you double click that, I want to double click it because I want options. Okay. Tools. Save. No. Shoot. I might have to come back and do this later. Oh. Object ungroup. Something's wrong with my system. All right. if you can play with this, you're supposed to be able to get it and get a system into which you can distribute these along a path so that sets a curve. Now, that's one way to do it. Again, I'm unsure of why my system, I've had this problem yesterday. I got to talk to the IT people. But there is a way to do that. Look it up. This is not the, share feedback. This doesn't work. Draw a path. Cancel. Let's try this. Oh, all right. Cancel. All right. Well, enough of that monkeying around. Edit, undo. I'm going to find out why this isn't working the way it should. All right. It's not a big deal. You guys will have it. Somebody's messed with my preferences and whatnot. But you can align on a path. The other one I want to talk about too is aligning on a path. Even if you do it by hand, like if you want, say, these to be like on a nice like curve, you can draw a curve, or what I've told other people is draw the shape you want and use that as a template. So I want secret to kind of be along this path, and you just kind of line it up as you want. And then you take that called cheat and delete it. Nobody needs to see it, you know what I mean? So then you delete it and it's gone, but you know, like these are on a curve. So there's so many things that you can do, or say like, I want it to be like, whoop. You know, you draw what you need as a base, and you can use that distribute when it works on, hopefully it works on your computers. I think you learn about it in the book, and I will reset it to learn it. Oh, I have more information for you. But you know, like even like that, I'd be like, okay, now the S will go here, the E will go here, the C will go here, the R will go here, the E will go here, and the T will go here, you know, like, and then I delete that. But I know like, okay, I used a baseline to help me figure out how I want my letters. Or I could even like then be like, okay, I'm going to do it like this. And I'm going to make sure the base is in line with the angle of that curve instead of guessing. There's so many of these like little things where I think people, when we come into it, we think, well, I'm just going to do it. But it's like using guides. Like the guides are there, and then you delete your little path. Nobody needs to see how you did it. So you can add as much as you need as quote unquote helpers to the design, and then just delete the helpers. That's all it is. Like you don't have to go in on your own and be like, how do I exactly do that? I want things around a circle. Well, draw a circle and place them around, and or use that, distribute tool if it's working on your computer. But I'm also going to show you for the design mission, you actually have to do type on a circle. So it's not hard. It's just a little finicky. So when you're doing these fun like word projects, like double check everything. How do you want it laid out? I'm not asking for a ton of time on them, but I want these to look really good. And then in the end, like say this is my final design, whatever. Then you can go to object, group, and then you hit the center, and get it centered, unless you want it off, hidden somewhere, or it's working with the board. But if you're like, oh, this one is centered, get it perfectly centered. Start to develop those habits now. In my terms, is like, don't be sloppy with the design ever. Never just be like, oh, just getting it done. Like if that's the attitude, then that's the kind of work you'll get. And you'll be like, how come I always get like these like boring assignments? Because that's what you show you can do. It's like just kind of half worked on assignments. So have some fun wherever you need to use like quote unquote cheats, like I want it around a square. You can put letters around the square, and know that boom, 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 and it'll be a perfect square. Don't guess. There's no reason to guess. Like there's so many tools that work. Try them all out. And like I say, you can ask me anything or go to the internet too. I know a lot of you like to work late at night. And if you're like working at night, just Google it. Like literally just Google, I want to do this in Illustrator, and something will pop up, a couple steps, try it out. That's how you learn. And I tell everybody, like, I do this, I think like almost every day, just even to speed up my work habits. Like, oh, there's got to be a better way for what I'm doing. Boom, boom, boom. Look it up. Be like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Boom, done. There's something I was talking to a friend of mine who is an illustrator by trade. Like this is all he does. And we were talking about something. I showed him something. He goes, dude, I never knew that. Like veteran, like does stuff for like major clients. It's like, oh, I never knew that. That's super cool. Like I'm going to start using that. Like I didn't know you'd do it. You don't know unless you kind of just ask, can it be done? And usually there's somebody somewhere who's done it in Illustrator and will show you how to do it. So whatever's in your head can get on that page, and it can get on there in a really nice and professional way. I talked about this last time. I want to talk about it again. I know I had some because while grading, these were popping up, and I was like, oh, God, not this again. So here, a few things. Always make sure you're using the right type tool. Point type, titles. Oof. That's about it. Clear dot. See that? Clear dot. Paragraph or body copy, area type. It should be the solid circle. This is why. So for titles, it's doesn't matter so much, but this is like when you want to make it bigger, you hold shift and you make it bigger and smaller to fit the area you need. But you don't want that. For this, if you make changes to your box, what you want is the text to circle around and fill in. That's exactly what I wanted to see there too. Perfect. So most people are doing it right. Some people are doing it wrong. Make sure you're doing it right. Oh, it doesn't really matter. It's going to matter in the end. Like when you're making changes, like I said, when you're making changes and you have to go back and forth and do stuff, if you have like a paragraph typeset and area type, you will be like, oh my God, this is horrible to fix. But if you do it correctly, with point type, if you do it correctly, area type, the changes are so much easier. So make sure you're doing the correct one. And I am looking. Like I will go in and look and be like, oh, okay. So I click on your stuff. Make sure you're doing that correctly. Does make a difference. Widows. I'm seeing widows come up a lot, and we can't have them. So widows are this question right there, and read. A single word at the bottom of a paragraph all alone is a no-no. Like we just don't do it. It's just weird. Why? Like it stands out, it sits there, and then you're reading, somebody's reading this gorgeous thing you did, and then further outdoor exercise was now out of the question. Like it just doesn't flow. Like why am I ending on a, physically inferiority of Eliza John and Georgina Reed? Like, no. So this is a widow, and we always remove widows. How do you remove a widow? There's like a billion ways to do it. And if you are in area type, usually all it takes is a quick little, make it a little bit bigger. See that? I barely pulled and I got rid of question. And then there, like I got rid of read. And then you may say, well, it doesn't fit into my thing anymore. Well, that's where you use the area, sizing tool. Free transform. So if you change the size with the select tool and I hold down shift, it does that, right? But if I want to make this, and this is like perfectly typeset, but I need it to fit in a smaller area, go to the free transform tool and then hold down shift, drag and shift, Come on. And you can size that. All right. So you change tools, and this way you can size it, which leads to the other thing, which I talked about last class, is, boxing your type. Which is totally fine. I don't mind. Oh, I did a really good job. But this is, we talk about too tight, and I talked about the X height. Like, this is way too tight in that box. There's no gap. We don't need to worry about like this age-old idea of the type needs to be as big as possible, because the bigger it is, the easier it is to read. That's actually false. When we have all these tight edges and things getting really close to the edge, that actually makes it more uncomfortable to read. You can have very small type in a beautifully laid out box, and people will be able to read it more comfortably than big type jammed in a small space. So when you get it set up and like this, and you're like, I want it in this box, start to look like, oh, it's really tight. I want you to do your best to like almost have, and it's not always perfect, the same distance on every side. It's just going to look better. So how, again, I'm just going to select on this, and I'm going to go to the free transform. I got a nice paragraph. I'm happy with it. I'm just going to hold down shift. And you know what? I will say this. Always go smaller than you think is a good rule of thumb. Don't go a little bit bigger. Always go, I think this is good. I'll go just a bit smaller. And then you can center it in there. Because then this way, you're celebrating what the person is reading. There's room all around it. And it's like almost like two framed paragraphs. Oops. So that's what we're talking about. So when you're working on those, anything that we work on that includes body copy from here on out, make sure if you frame it in, even to the edges of anything, how much space is on each side, top and bottom. Like, a lot of space should be there. We're showing off. This is a paragraph. Ooh, really nice. This is a paragraph. Ooh, really nice. We don't want, I always say ending on the don't want, but this is not comfortable to read. So make sure you're not doing that. More empty space. It's actually we call it white space, empty space. There's a lot of names. If you take my 103 class, you'll learn about it. It's white space. It makes everything more enjoyable. Look at the difference in that. So make sure you're doing that. Smaller is always better. People can read. Guess what? A lot of times computers, zoom in, whatever. Oh, what about in the real world? 8-point type, like 8-point. This is 6.5. It doesn't really matter. I don't care. I'd rather have it look better this way than being too small. That's what we're working on. So make it look really good. And if you're like, oh, but I want the type, I wish it was bigger, then zoom it in on your screen. Make it bigger on your screen for yourself. So those are some little exercises. So widows, make sure there's no widows. Oh, and then people are pretty good with this. I see it. Just make sure that in your paragraph that your hyphens is turned off. I don't see a lot of hyphens. You guys are doing pretty good with that. Under paragraph, make sure that hyphen is not clicked. You do not want to hyphenate. We're not typesetting, as I say, we're not typesetting newspapers, magazines, and body copy in which that we need to fit in an enormous amount in a small space, that's when you hyphenate. Here we're just fitting in like 2 paragraphs on a nice little size page. We're not looking to jam it in. So always just make sure that's unchecked. And I do check for hyphens as well. So cool. It's just good. These are all, we repeat it to get in the habit. So when you do it in the future, we move on beyond, you start getting in the advertising design and all the other courses, that this is just comes naturally. Because the last thing you want is like go to another class and like, I always hear like, well, I didn't know that. I'm like, well, you should. Here you go. Now you know. All right. That's about typesetting. Next one up. Design mission. 17,000. All right. This is a 2-parter. Here it is. It's the work of Alan Fletcher, pioneering British graphic designer known for his bold, witty, and conceptual approach to design. We're going to be working on, it's like shape builder, pathfinder, and text on a circle is the main ones. And it's pretty cool. I think like one of the two, you're going to be doing 2 designs in this one. And the second one, I think, is kind of a little bit more amazing, but the first one uses the cooler tool. So just when you get here, you know, when you click on this, you can just go up to this. This should show up. Just download that. There's fonts included. All right. And I'll go through this process and show you. I know I'm on a Mac, but it's almost exactly the same on a PC. Sorry, I'm just deleting. All right. Oh, I don't need that. So this is my download. So you right click on a PC, you double click on a Mac, it extracts it. Then there's your Illustrator file and then the fonts. The fonts, all you have to do is like double click on it and hit install if it doesn't have it already. And then you'll have it. There you go. You can grab all of them too and then open with font book. Whatever's quickest, install. And it just installs them. So you have the fonts. And then we click on Design Mission 06 Student. Dun, dun, dun. And here it is. 2 designs. One's a magazine cover. One's an album cover. This album cover, which you may be like, oh my God, is actually super easy. It's amazingly easy. This one may take you some time. Again, I have the notes of what I'm using for the most part, and then color swatches are included for you. All the color swatches, I make sure they're all spot colors. As you can see, you'll need to typeset Fortune, January 1958, a little text down here. You might have to use the old brush tool down here for a signature. But let's jump in. So the first one we're going to do is, and you have done it already, is the shape builder tool. I'm going to do magazine. And I'm just going to play with it. The shape builder is the small circle, the big circle dots, and it allows you to draw stuff and then combine, subtract, or remove parts from that. So I have this. I'm just making stuff up, you know. I guess that's fine. So what you need to do is you need to draw the base shapes and then say like, well, I want this weird shape cut out and I want that cut out of this square. What's the best way to do it? Well, that's where Shape Builder comes in, because you can grab it all and then take the shape builder. Everything's selected. Now, as you see, when I go over, things go gray. So you look at like, what information do I want? And so what I would do here is I want this circle removed from this shape. All I have to do is click on it and see how that middle dot went away. That means something happened. Now I want these two ovals combined, but without the rectangle. So I'm going to start out here and I'm going to click and drag through and see my line. So I'm clicking and dragging. You can see my line showing up there. And all of these three, I'm still holding, like I'm still holding my click button. And then I'm going to release. And then it makes that. And sometimes I go back in. And so like this are now all individual shapes. And I will go in just for a good measure. And I clicked here once and I clicked here once, which means I can then pull these apart. And I have the positive and negatives of what I need. And just like building the that dog head, I think most of you did, this is so rad for building stuff like, oh, I want burp. I don't know why I would do this. Like, do this. Do this. So then I just mirrored that. And then I'm going to use my reflect tool and I'm going to reflect it and hit OK. And I'm going to put this here and then just like do this. And I'm going to use my tools, you know, and just pull another one. And then I need like, I want this. But I want the shape to be different. So I'm going to use my direct select. I'm going to pull this down. And I'm going to go, I didn't want that far out. But like, so I can build my character out of shapes, select them all, and then go to the shape builder and be like, connect all of this. And then remove these. And now I have that, you know, like, and if I need to, but I wouldn't necessarily remove these three parts as I would want them colored in and I don't want them separated, but I would probably have them as separate elements with a negative background at some point. But this is where it comes in super handy is you know, like I want to build something out of shapes, you build it and then you connect them all, boom, you're done. We'll be doing a little bit more of the subtractive work. And it's a lot of fun. And we'll start with, you know, these four. Pick one or the other. Everything, once you build one circle, maybe save it. The reason being, you're going to use the same size circle on like all of it. You know what I mean? So build one circle. Let's go like my magenta outline because I'm tracing now. And so there I see it. And then I'm going to make another circle. See, it's too big. So I'm going to go down in a little bit, shift. And it's almost for this one, because you can line things up, is you're just going to go, I think the best one is like go line by line and make what you need. So I'm going to do the box. Then this one is a small box, a small box. It's a little bit hard to tell, I know, but. And I'm just dragging. I'm using my keys to drag a copy over. And I'm getting it to line up. Now I'm going to do here. right? I'm going to cut that in half because it's black on one side, a different purple on the other. And I'm going to, you know, continue to work my way across. Here's a half circle. And then use my arrow key. I want those lined up perfectly though. If you want them lined up perfectly, just zoom in. So I can take these. And so I'm looking ahead. I have a simple half circle here. So I'm gonna, because I know, well, if I need to make a half circle here, I can take that and then move it over. And I got another box. And I'm gonna take these. And this is all I'm doing. If you see, I never remake anything if I don't need to. It's all, I have it. And so I'm always just copying and pasting, but I'm using, like, I'm holding down shift, I'm holding down option. Like, I don't rebuild it if I don't need to, because that's a waste of like me going back to here, out to here, back to here, out to here, back to here. Like, I have one thing. You just kind of continue to use what you have down the line. Now, it's going to be different on the second line. There's some weirder shapes going on, but there we go. And I'm going all the way out to the bleed. And I need one more circle. Here's a circle over here. I'm just going to grab it and shift and alter option. This is where I talk about too. I see students in the room. Your hand should, that if you're right-handed, it should be on the mouse. And your left hand should be on the keyboard. It shouldn't be down hanging by your side, all limp and losing blood because it's down by. It should be on the keyboard. It's crazy. You need to get in the habit, and it's quite amazing how getting in the habit changes everything you work on. Every time you set up to a computer, like my hand is always like just goes right to the shift button. No matter what, you give me a keyboard, my you know, whatever fingers I use to point at that go right to the shift key. My hand's never not on the shift key because right next to it is a space bar, so I can move it around. And then, you know, if I zoom in, yay, Scurvy Zoom's working. You know, it's all there. So I built this with outlines, right? I'm going to go in. I selected it all. To make it easier on me, I'm going to add a fill. And then I'm going to take the shape builder and I'm just going to start pop, 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 pop. I'm just clicking on them. Each one of these is now a shape. And if I do this one, this needed a circle. Well, grab and pull one. There you go. So now you can go through and color these the correct color, and each one is its own shape. And that's how you do that. So all you do, you know, going in first, you just drawing the outlines, and then, well, this needs to be a color and this needs to be a color. So that's what we do. So down low here, we'll go again. I'm going to turn off this. Oops. And I'm going to draw the first rectangle. Now again, I'm not going to redraw a rectangle. I'm just going to hit Shift, Option, or Alt and just drag mine over. Why change anything? Now we get it lined up with that. And then I'm at Shift and Option and Alt. Drag it over. Take your time. Zoom in. And then this one's longer, so I'll just pull it to be longer. Space bar, move down. As you can see, I'm doing whatever I can to never go further than I need to with my hands to save time. And then I pull. We need a triangle. All right, go to here. polygon. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to click, shift, let go. Now along this edge, just there's that little diamond. Right there. Oh, right there. I'm going to click on it, and you can slide up or down. I want 3 sides. Boom. Done. I'm going to zoom out a bit. Key commands. I'm going to turn it, grab it from a corner, hold down shift. And then this one, you make it the size of the box. Oops. There you go. Oh, what do I do here? Same thing. Same thing I do with the other one. I'm going to shift in Alt or Option, and then I'm going to make this big. Ugh, I hate this weird cursor I have to have. And there we go. There's that triangle. And then I'm going to move it over. I'm going to do it again. Oh, and then this one. Ooh, this one gets tricky. Because it's got an extension to it. What is that extension? Watch this. This is where tricky becomes untricky. It's just triangles, right? It's just one large triangle with a split down the middle. So I have my box drawn. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut my box in half. I'm going to go up from the bottom to the middle, and then I'm going to grab it, make a copy of it, and come down. And just adjust as needed. So now again, I have the outlines of all the pieces. Let's do this. So this is what I have. And again, if I kind of want them all individual. So I'm going to fill them with, first I'm going to select them all. Let's fill them with cyan so we can see them. And then I'm going to go down the line with my shape builder. And I'm going to click, 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 click. Want one here, one here, one here. Now this is where it gets fun. I only want this. Oh, I didn't go far enough. Ah, that's good to see. I should be able to draw across. So what's happening? I'll show you because this may happen. This is a perfect indicator. Let me zoom in on that. If you do not go far enough past what the shape builder is seeing mathematically is that right here and right here, it's not, the edges aren't touching. So there's like this tiny gap there that says this is actually one shape and this is actually one shape. So all you need to do is click on those triangles and bring them up. And it's so little, it's like almost imperceptible. And then I'm going to re-grab everything. And then I'll go back to the shape builder. And now it knows like, oh, okay. And so this is a shape and I want these two to be a shape. I want this a shape. I want these two to be a shape. And I think we end with one big shape here. So then if I'm coloring this wrong, but I'm just showing you. I'm going to bounce around. As you can see, these are the wrong colors, mind you, but that is how you build those kind of like intricate shapes out of just other shapes. I want to say like it almost seems more complicated than this, but you're literally just drawing some shapes and then knocking out like, what do I want filled? What don't I want filled? We get a little more complicated. We got some curves at the bottom, which involve giant circles, but it's still not hard. Giant circles, small circles. So we're not going to draw an arc. We're going to draw circles. So I'm going to start, or properly speaking, ellipses. So again, I got a square. And what I'm going to do is make sure it's just outlines. And you can go down and like do that same thing. Shift an option, Y rebuild, just make it smaller. You know, like Y draw another square. Always Y redraw. Don't redraw if you don't need to. Just use what's there. Shift option. Move on down. Shift option. And you can do this in bits and pieces if you want as well. Like, you don't have to do the whole row at once, but you kind of have to have your eye on where the changes are. So I'm going to do that. So we have a square with a circle, circles. Okay, let's do it. So here's a square. And I'm going to need this square later on as well. Here, you know, there's a split over here, but we'll do one thing at a time. Because here's a really weird one. So we get it how I want it. Looks good. It was a square. Then I'm going to draw an ellipse. I'm not going to try to cut this. You may think, well, it's going to be easier if I... No, it's not. So to draw the ellipse, shift an option because I want it to grow out from the center. And then you move it. And it's going to lock. You want it that center point to be the center. And just take your time. And then I'm going to pull it up. And I'm going to pull it up. And so it is a little bit off, as you can see. It's above the center mark, but this center mark is hit. And then I'm going to draw one more circle. This time, I don't know why circles are, I don't always copy them. Going to do the same. And I want it perfect. So now I can grab to get boom, 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 and boom. Those 4 segments, I'm going to grab it. Let's color it. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're all grabbed. Shape builder. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I click on these, that means I can just delete them. So now I go up and clean up the other stuff. Delete, delete. And now I have all those shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Move down. I have, this is like a bunch of boxes. It's like, the easy one here is probably this. It's like this box is connected to this box, and they're not all really accurate. Not accurate meaning I know when I built this off of an actual design from this artist, I was like, oh, he didn't really, but this is back in the day. They weren't using computers, and so it was harder. So, you know, these 3 boxes can then each be colored. 1, 2, 3. You didn't have to do shape builder here. But over here, you have a circle and 2 lines. So, okay, we got to figure that out. So draw a circle. and then it's got to have a block and a block taken out of it. And then we go down here. I'm going to make this one this correct size. And if you want to stop here and be like, I need a breather, then grab all of these. I'm going to make sure I don't have that background on. And I can cut this up. Oh, but it goes all the way through. Hold on. I'm going to grab these two. I meant to actually go all the way out. I'm going to go past. So then, again, grab the circle, the two squares. I'm going to go to Shape Builder, and then I want these two connected. I want these two connected. And this can get deleted. Delete, delete. So now I have those like that shape, and then you can cut those out of those other shapes. The bottom section is kind of easier. It's a little bit less. There's typography and maybe a little handwork here. The typography, you know how to do it. It's all area type. You type it, straight lines. That one's easy. I'll teach you how to do this other one, this one in a second. All right, so that's all Shape Builder. Take your time. Now we have, I'm going to teach you the Pathfinder. It is actually, you'll be amazed. Like this one will go really quick, except for color matching will take you some time. This design is built off of one donut. I'm going to call it a donut. It's like a circle and a dot, you know, circle with a circle in the middle. Easy. So first thing we're going to do, grab the ellipse tool, and I just find one that you want. I'm holding down Shift and Option, dragging out from the inside. I'm going to zoom in, because you know what? Make it as big as you can. I'm going to change the color of my layer so it shows up better. Okay. So I have one circle. You know what I can do? Copy, edit, paste in place. It's got another circle. And I'm going to hold down Shift and Option again. Make that other circle the size of the outside. All right. I have two circles. I'm going to fill them. And then I'm going to Shape Builder. And I'm going to click and click. So now I have like the donut, you know. And then all you need to do at this point so you can see what I'm doing, is copy and paste these. So I'm going to group it. How do I make it? I'm going to go up in my point size so you can really see it. I'm going to group it. Group. And then there's a lot of copy paste. I put one here. Copy. You don't even have to hit copy anymore, okay? Just paste. One here. Paste. One here. Paste. One here. Paste. One here. I'm only hitting paste and moving them. And I'm getting one for every donut that you see. Going around. paste in. Use those arrow keys if you're, use the arrow keys where needed. Paste. Paste. Arrow keys where needed. Paste. Paste. Arrow key. Zoom out. There. I did everything but the center. The center is different, and it's not a problem. Everything, if I turn that off, right? I have a circle set up everywhere. Here's the magic, all right? I'm going to select them all for demonstration purposes. Stroke to 0. Well, you should do this too. Fill to, I use one of the colors. Eyedropper tool. All right, everything is selected. Every donut. Now, all I'm going to do is go to Pathfinder here. Pathfinder. Or if you can't find it, it's Window and it's Pathfinder. But it should be in your tools on the side. And I'm going to select down, and there's this one. It shows 2 boxes over each other with the box in the middle knocked out. That means that it's going to knock out every piece of this. I can't select which ones I want joined. That's what makes Shape Builder really nice, is you can kind of select, I only want these 2 of the 4. This is a big, like, in your face punch. It does them all at once. All right. So all I'm going to do, I haven't clicked on it yet. I'm going to click on it. Oh, Lord, what happened? It looks like nothing. But now when I go over this, every one of these is its own piece. See that? So, you can then like pull all this as one group off to the side. This might be the easier way to do this. And then you start coloring. This one is blue. Okay, ungroup, object, ungroup. That one is blue. Eyedropper blue. Or smarter one is, I see like this is blue. This is blue. I'm holding down shift. This one's blue. And this one's blue. Eyedropper blue. And then, green. This one's green. This is green. This is green. This one's green. That's green. And you can go back, you don't have to get them all the first time. But you're just going to go through. And then that's the dark green. Till you end up with this pattern. And here's the rainbow of colors. So that's how you do the background. And then the background has a full rectangle of this darkest purple. Pull that. You all know how to typeset. This is the Helvetica. Just type it out, size it as needed. Let's talk about this. Sorry about that. You're going to come to this. This is a separate piece. This is what I call the label. And it has text on it in a circle. This is advanced stuff here. So it's a tiny circle, right? With a big green circle with a stroke circle. So I'm just going to go from the center, shift option. And I'm going to turn off the color so we can see what's going on. I'm just going to quickly make that great. I need to make a big green one and then make another circle. I'm just going to go small. This is the white circle. And then I make another circle for the stroke. And I'm just going to go halfway. And what I can do is, like, he's making the circles all over the place. It's, you know, I'm going to go and then just use my align tool. And this is the white stroke. And so I want it my line halfway in, because when I turn it white, I'm going to use white stroke and just kind of fill it in. You know, I can grab all three of these and align and align. So they're all centered on each other, center, center. Use your arrow key if you want, get it precise. You just draw one line connecting that. Now the text. And this gets sometimes a little bit tricky. I'm going to draw a circle and I'm going to stop at the bottom of Columbia. Now I'm going to go to the type tool. And I'm going to hold type on a path tool. It will not work with general type. This will fill it in. This one will fill it in. This one will allow us to type along the edge. So I'm going to make sure I'm on type on a path, and I'm going to click here. All right. It put it on there. It put in small text, all caps, Columbia. Now I'm going to go down here. It makes it easier. It's like Helvetica. I think it's this one. And then I'm going to go, and I'm just going to use this to go up in size right now. I'll get mine red. Let's make it red so we can see it in comparison. Now this is where it gets tricky, all right? And where you might have problems, but you just got to zoom in and take your time. So this needs to be big. It's going to be, let's just go up to 72. It's bigger than 72. All right. Now it's over on this side, but I need it to line up here. You have to use the direct select tool and grab, which is real difficult sometimes, is to grab. Well, actually, you know what? Here's do the easier one. Never mind. You can rotate your circle for this. There you go. Just rotate your circle. I was going to teach you another way, and it's such a pain in the butt. And then, you know, let's get it to work. It's condensed. Maybe. Condense bold, and then we'll kind of reduce the tracking. There you go. Minus 25. And that's how you do it. So you type and use the type on a path tool on the outside. Now what's going to happen is some people are going to get this happening where it's going to either they're going to get a new thing and it starts setting up. Just undo. I think they like in their creating of this, they added like a bunch of like areas in which you can really typeset tightly, but it's very finicky. Like you can grab these little points, but if you're not super precise, and if you're using this like gigantic clicker like I am, it's sometimes extremely hard to get this to be exactly where you want it for adjusting type. And sometimes this will happen is you'll grab it, it'll change its policy. It's like, oh no, you wanted area type. You're like, no. Or it may jump inside. And I'm going to hear that from some of you like, oh, it went on the inside, not the outside. Then just start it again. It's pretty easy. Just start it again. So this actually may take you the longest is getting that on there, but just contact me with questions, comments, or concerns about that. So seems complicated. It's not once you start to know how to use it. Like I said, this side where all these circles is like, oh my God. But then like you just make one circle, duplicate it, cut it out, and then you have 1,000 pieces. And then like that's how you can create some of these like really kind of cool designs with overlaps and perfect setups. Any questions, comments, or concerns? And then don't run, though. I have one more thing to tell you all. So don't run. All right. The news. There is no classes on Tuesday. Next week, Tuesday, there are no classes. So take that day, all day, to finish up your work, get it done. Yes, there is a question. Oh, do I do it? Yes, yes. What is it? If you're speaking it, you have to turn on your microphone. It is not coming through. You want to type it? Well, while the question is being typed, yeah, so next week, Tuesday, is a faculty resource day where you have to work on internal stuff. So there are no classes on Tuesday. I think student services are still open, so the library and stuff are still running. It's just there's no classes held. So due dates are still set up, and then I think Wednesday is a break, sort of a little bit of break-ish maybe for you. I don't know. And then Thursday we're back on, and then things, just like normal. Everything's week. So. Oh, okay. So return marks. So some people, okay. Sometimes when you copy and paste from somebody else, you get weird returns put in. I see it happen a bunch. Let me get a paragraph. Oh, shoot. I'm going to have to just demonstrate this differently. New. This is good. It's a good question. So everybody hang on for this. So you're in here. And what happens is I'm going to copy and paste this text. It may not happen, but you have to watch for it. And I'm going to hit paste. And if I'm going, this is fine. Right? It's working fine. But every once in a while, I'm seeing people, and it's how you copied and pasted it, that you have these giant, it looks like this. And I'm like, you need to remove the returns. And you may say like, well, I copied and pasted what was there. Well, you're the graphic designer. Sorry. You're the graphic designer. So you need to go in and then be like, oh, okay, I need to this line, that's weird. I'm going to go in and just hit delete space and go and fix that. So when you do it, you are correcting that, weird spacing. It comes up, it happens, but yeah, you need to be looking if there is something wrong, with your paragraph, be like, I need to fix that, or send me a note and be like, why is it like that? And I will, just say oh, that's where you just got to go back and you have to remove the returns. It happens all the time. The reason being is clients, no matter where they're from, are going to send you body copy from all different types of programs that have all different types of weird setups. It gets gnarly. People on the other side of design who know Word, Microsoft Word, or stuff like that really well, put in all of these weird things for when they're doing it themselves. it works for them, and they, it helps them because they're working in other things and they're typing this out. And then you copy and put it in. And like I said, you end up with this weird thing where, for some reason it thinks like every line is a line in a return. And then you're like, okay, I have to go in there and be like, delete space, delete space. The other way is actually longer, is you take the copy, you copy it, you open up like Google Docs, you paste it in, you select it all, and you hit like, there's a like remove all formatting, but that doesn't always work either. But that's what I'm talking about. So if you end up, and I've seen it more than once, and it's usually with like one word there, and it's this, you need to go in and actually hand fix it. And it's just delete spacing. It's easy. This is where, if you did it and you thought you were like, oh, it doesn't matter, and you're in the wrong, this is, in point, then you're really messed up, because then when you're like, well, I need to reduce this line, and then they all like go out like that, then because it's no longer in the box. This is where it'll really mess you up. Like, oh, I want that up there. Like, oh no, I'm not in the right type. And then you got to go back, and you can fix it by double clicking that. But that's why it's very important to be in the right area type. So there you go. Any other questions? Keep them coming. All right. Well, let me know what you need. Go slow. Have a good time. Get to know them. Yeah, it's Illustrator. There's a lot going on. But the more you learn it, know it, and don't be afraid to start over or save a version, download a new one, and open a new version. Like, just start over when you need to. If you're working on this design mission, you're like, I got this side, but this is like, for some reason this is messed up. Save like design mission, version 1, and you can copy and paste things back in. Like, start over, start a new one. Don't keep pounding at the same one. If it's not working, start over. It's just pixels. It's time. And when you do start over, it makes it clearer, because you're not fighting what's already there. You're starting fresh. You're not like, well, it's not doing what I wanted. Okay, then just do it again. Like, like on this one, it's not doing what I wanted. Blah, blah, blah. It's not doing what I wanted. Well, then I can't get it to work. Then just delete that one, and then go and be like, okay, one at a time. I'm going to do a rectangle. I'm going to do the circle. I'm basing it off of this one. I'm going to do the circle. And then grab them both. Pathfinder, boom, boom. All right, I got one to work. This is correct. Like, it knocked it out. Great. Then do another one. So you can slow it down. You don't have to do the whole line. Do it at your own pace. And, that may be your better way. Like, I'm just going to do one section at a time. Perfect. Do that. But, I'm going to be checking. I'm going to be pulling them apart and seeing how many parts and pieces are there, all that fun stuff. So I believe in you. You guys can do it. Yeah, the big one is just no meeting on Tuesday. All this stuff is due next week, Thursday. I'll be checking everything. It's going to be a little delayed. I'm going to be out of town, but I bring all my work with me, and I'll be checking like early mornings, late nights, and making sure any questions, comments, or concerns that comes up. And then I will do my best, and my fastest turnaround for grading this weekend will be the portfolio builder, because then you get a second, I'll make the changes, do this, this, and this, and then another week for your portfolio builder to make adjustments and make it perfecto. So cool. thank you all very much. I look forward to seeing some of the work. And yeah, enjoy the snow. All right, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.